Good afternoon, Danvers. Topics of the Town News here with Jim Morose
Howdy,
and
Danvers.
Mark Zuberek as your co-hosts, I believe, today. We'll talk over each other. It's okay. We can do that. Today is August 28th, 2024, and welcome to our special report that was scheduled for today. However, our legislators, Sally Kearns, State Representative, and Joan Lovely, State Senator, the representative is under the weather, that's what I was told, and the senator is overcommitted. So, hey, we can talk about the elections till the cows come home. The show must go on, and that's what I put into my notes. Therefore, like I said earlier, I invited my good friend and producer of Jim's Table Topics to assist me with this time slot that was scheduled for our mass legislative contingent. Please welcome Jim, and I'm glad you were able to make it because I think we were all under time constraints. We have grandchildren to deal with, we have children to deal with, and it's the family responsibilities that come along.
And all our doctor's appointments.
Well, wait a minute. When you start talking about ailments and doctor's appointments, you know what that means?
I don't know.
You're getting old.
Yeah, I know that.
So let's not
gonna
go
talk
there. The agenda and opinions are solely by the topics of the town host, our guests, contributors, and commentators. So today I am having a quote dilemma, but I put the quotes on because I believe that's something representative of what the show is all about. And I have a quote and then a follow-up. Always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself. Do not go out and look for an alternative, successful personality because you will only find yourself. Believe in yourself. I think that's a message that I think resonates throughout our community, but as we go into the details, I have put on a note for myself. People are afraid of our government, local, state, and especially the federal. What are elected representatives doing to protect us as taxpayers? We are the ones that are paying the bill for everything. And what are our legislators doing? And we'll get to that in a moment. My second part of the quote, I have, inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. And I think that's what we're seeing in our community. You see that in your portion of our community. We have different circles that coincide, and they're all in that fear-mongering situation where they're afraid to say something because they don't want to be chastised or looked upon as being different than the rest of the establishment. Well, the establishment is wrong. So, Jim, I don't know what you want to say in regard to
I
those.
got a couple of things. You talked about two quotes there. So, as you were reading that first quote, I heard one that was like the summary of that. Be yourself, because everybody else is taken. You
Right.
got to be yourself.
That's true.
Okay? And then, I mean, what's his name? Was it Harry Truman? Is he the one who said, the only thing we have to fear is the fear itself, or whatever that quote was?
That was Teddy Roosevelt.
The only thing we have to
that
fear
was
is fear
Roosevelt,
itself.
yeah.
And, Yeah, and Nike, they had the saying, just do it.
Right.
We have to face our fears. We can't cower. I mean, people say, I can't believe how you get out there and say these things and talk. But I lived in I was like very quiet and introverted. I never talked to anybody. I just lived my life and didn't bother with any of this
You
stuff.
were one of those kids that kept to themselves?
Oh, yes, sir. I
Oh,
was,
my
yeah.
God.
Not only my kids, in my adult life. I just, I didn't get involved in politics or any of the stupid stuff. We were just family doing this and doing
That's
that.
right.
And then once I got to the empty nest, then I said, the heck is all this stuff?
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you, we'll talk about elections, but I mean.
Well, let's move on.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is introduce a clip that I've selected and you've supplied, and I appreciate it. And Ben, if you can throw on my friend, yeah, that's one. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. And that's what we don't want to get to, because we need to resolve our differences and our fears of the suppressive government that we have, whether it's local, state, or federal, doesn't matter. We need to get over that. And then I have another clip. I'm getting into these clips. So you're not mad at those who lied to you for years, but you're mad at me for proving they lied to you. This is a perfect example of what has been happening. And maybe you want to talk to that a little bit, because that's something that's we've experienced in our own lives here.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like the quote you said, people are afraid of the government. And that's and so Elon Musk speaks out, and all of a sudden he speaks the truth and he becomes the enemy.
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy because he's telling the truth. It's like, I mean, but Elon's not alone. I mean, I made a list. You got RF Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., and you got Tulsi Gabbard now. Tulsi Gabbard was a diehard Democrat, and she gave up and became an independent, and now she's supporting Trump. I mean, and then Cornel West. I don't know. Nobody knows who he is.
Oh, I know who he is.
But Cornel West is I just looked him up just to make sure he's still, and he was actually born in 1953, and he's a professor, and he's a black political analyst. Analyst and activist, and he's running for something in Minnesota or Wisconsin or one of the places out there, and they tried to get him to tone down his anti-Israel and stance because he's pro Palestine, and he said, no, I'm not backing down, and so there was a big stink. So again, even people regular Democrats are highly concerned and afraid of what the party's been taken over by in the extreme socialist communist types, okay? And so that's what's happening here. I mean, Brandon Strotka, it was like 5 years ago he started #WalkAway because he was a gay Democrat, and he said, holy crap, you guys are off the page. And so we got to wake up. The liberal media industrial complex has brainwashed all of us. And they're supported by the Hollywood propaganda people. They just keep coming, and the lies keep coming, and everybody's buying the lie. You can see it.
Jim, the lies are there. The thing is that there's not enough people believing in those lies. So somehow we have to overcome that and overcome the lies.
Well, you know what? There was another meme that came out and it said that November 5th is America's IQ test, because when we get more than 45% of the people voting for Kamala Harris, who hasn't, it's like you're kidding me, right? Everything she's done is flip-flop lies. She just
All right, Jim.
Okay.
I'm going to have to
But
bring you back to
I
reality.
understand that. I kind of focus on the global,
Right.
federal, state level stuff, but it all funnels down right to
Danvers itself,
goes
to
from
the
the
White
UN
House.
to
here.
Washington, D.C., to Beacon Hill, right to the Danvers Town Hall.
No,
It's-
Danvers White House. Get this straight. They believe that this is the center of the universe in Danvers, is the White House in Danvers.
and I told you what I thought
I
about
don't want to
the
know.
state-
I don't want to
no,
know.
the MMA, right? The Massachusetts Municipal Association that spoke at the
Town Charter Review.
Charter Review. And reading between the lines, I'm saying to myself, I think they want to get rid of excessive town representation by town meeting. We got 140 whatever, and they want to go to town. They were kind of saying
Council.
town councilors, so like a city councilor. So we only have like 8 or 9 of them. So then we can react quickly to all the things the state and the federal government wants us to do. Like quick. Stay in your house and don't get out till we tell you. Wear a mask until we tell you to stop. And take these vaccines or you're going to jail. Okay?
All right, that's enough.
Welcome.
the thing that we have to remember is that the town hall has to be responsive to the voters and residents.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that the selectmen themselves are weak enough to sit back and watch things happen. So I just hope that they realize that there may be things happening in the White House that they may not like. So let's move on. And I have to introduce my friend Albert Einstein again, because Albert was so right. We need person-to-person relationships at meetings, at these shows. Ben, if you can throw Mr. Einstein on. I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. And in retrospect to the last 30 years, I think we're on our way. And Albert was right. The thing is, I cannot understand why. What I like to do before we get into the current election process, I have a few items that I want to introduce, and we'll get into more detail as we get along, as we move along. Recent topics. Danvers Electric, in their wisdom, the Danvers Electric Commissioners, again, here we go, appointed by the town manager and responsive to what the town manager wants, have introduced a new survey, Danvers Electric, and it says 2024 Customer Satisfaction Survey. But listen to this. In the back, it tells you to scan the code on the back of the card for the Danvers Electric survey. And this is Great Blue company that's running the survey. I went to the electric department, pay my bill, and I asked the ladies over there, have you seen what we just received in the mail? And do you have a hard copy of it? Because I want to take a look at it. They had no idea what was going on, what was being sent out, what was being requested.
Excellent communication.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would
communications, excuse the expression, suck in this community.
I wrote on mine. I scanned it and I just crossed it off so the Danvers residents and electric bill payers. But yeah.
Well, I don't know what the list really consists of. Is it
Well,
each?
I went on, I looked at it, and it wouldn't let me go to the next screen unless I filled in all my information. I filled in my information, and then it came up and said 10% done. Then I went through like 3 questions, and it said, 20% done. Then once I said, I ain't got time for this. I mean, it was like, no. And it was just basically, did you have to call? Was it a good experience? Were they very friendly? It goes from worst to
good old stuff.
0, the scale, 1 to 10.
Now,
And so it's just like, how many surveys are we going to do? Are we doing a good job? Are we? Huh? Tell me we're doing a good job. It's kind of like the survey we took 10 years ago with Wayne Marquis.
yes.
We paid a lot of money for that, and the 3 big answers were, what are the biggest issues people had? Traffic, and traffic. And what have we done? We're overbuilding, creating more traffic, overbuilding, creating more traffic. We're ignoring it,
Well,
the will of the people.
That's my whole point. And my other point on this thing is scanning this survey. I don't know what you call that.
That's the QR code.
QR code.
Yeah, you got to get to the 20th.
I haven't got into the 20th century yet.
They don't even have menus at restaurants now. You take your camera, your phone, and you just hover it over this, and then the menu pops up.
Well, then I asked the ladies at the electric company desk over there. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
And I said to them, what are you going to provide to the elderly like me? I'm considering myself elderly now.
For certain situations.
It's selective definition.
Yes, selective
and that's
elderly.
how it's supposed to be.
When it's beneficial.
The thing is, she said, I have no idea what they're doing. And I did not go to the Municipal Light Board Commissioners meeting for the last 2-3 months. So they're doing whatever they want, and they don't advertise it, or they don't consider the rest of the residents, because we have probably 30 to 40% of residents that do not read the QR code. Well, they don't care about it. I don't care about it. But in reality, I was cheating because I scanned it. And I took the survey. The problem with this survey is that you can take it 10 times if you want.
Did it ask you who you were?
No. It did, but I ignored it and went right by it. So the thing is, the results are not going to be efficient.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it does have because I didn't use the QR code. I don't like using them because I don't really trust them.
I know.
But it said go to Danvers MA Gov and then go to the electric. So I went there and I went to the electric department and it came right up on the regular website. So you can get to it from there.
The QR code identifies to them who you are and where you are.
You think it's built in because it put your name and address on this, and then this QR code is they're all the same. They can't be different. Would they do that to us?
When you sign in on your computer, do you think they don't know that it's you? Come on,
I
Jim.
guess so. I guess
You're
they know
smarter
more about
than
me.
that.
Whenever I go somewhere, I always say that you guys know more about me than I know about me.
All right, that's enough about the survey. But I sort of mentioned to the ladies that we're neglecting 30 to 40% of the population that has electric meters, and they're not going to take this survey, and all they're going to get is loaded with fluff from people that they have asked to respond to the survey. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I believe, and I'll stick to it.
Yeah.
Next item, airport support. Airport support, we'll be talking about that when we get into Joan Lovely's campaign and Sally Kearns' campaign. The third item on here is very interesting because it's recent. I just heard this on the news. Cell phones in schools. Cell phones in schools are a created policy by the administration that thinks that they save the universe because people can call out if they need to. But cell phones are a
Distraction.
to the students, and definitely a distraction to the teachers because they get vibrations
Yeah.
or even rings in the classroom. But the one thing that caught my eye is that there's a state grant for $800,000 that has been approved by our infamous legislature to provide pockets for phones. So what happened with the discipline and school rules? There are no school rules. The administration is afraid of the kids. And now the state legislature is spending $800,000 from our tax money to provide stupid pockets so they can put their phone in there and have a snap on it. It's a big deal. They should they should deny them having phones in the classroom altogether. Yep. If they want to put the pocket, put it in in the.
Well, see, I mean, I've heard so many different issues on the sides of this story, but the bottom line is, education is just a byproduct of discipline. If you don't have discipline, you're never going to learn anything. You have to focus, and if kids can't realize that, you can live without the phone. People have lived without these for thousands of years. Okay, and when you're in school and the rule says, shut your phone off, mute it, and don't use it. But if there's an emergency, you can get it. It's either in your locker or in your desk or somewhere. You don't have to and don't look at it. I mean, how tough is that? How tough is that? Do we need to spend $800,000 to tell kids, don't touch your phone? If you do, you're going to get on the principal's office.
There you go. The administration is afraid of the kids.
It's called discipline.
That's right.
I mean,
so now you're really running into my next subject here, which is a full page. And why do we even have our school committees? Because they don't make any rules. The school committee is afraid of the principals because that's what's been created as the administration for the schools. The school committee has no authority over principals. They're hired by the superintendent. And to authorize funding from Danvers residents, the only reason we have school committees is to authorize funding from Danvers residents to support the state school system. This system is a state-run school system. It is not a Danvers school system. And it hasn't been for years.
Yeah.
There is no accountability by the state for spending these crazy amounts for educate our students. We do not even have any influence on the content of education in town. Yep. Curriculum is dictated by DESE, which is the Department of State Secondary Education. So the thing is that this whole thing comes back and bites us in the behind because we ignore it. The school committee meetings are a joke now. I've stopped going to them because there is no result from the school committee meetings. So then it leads me into the next subject, which I believe that our legislators were so proud of Danvers for illegals being present and accepted in the town of Danvers. What are the payments from the state to local schools? I believe it's like $105 per student per day that they are paying to have these students go to our school system. I don't know, by accident, there was a parade of illegal students that have been at the middle school, and they were there during the day. They were getting indoctrinated, and they had them parading down the street to go to back to their, domicile, which is the hotels.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of activity in the school issues about busing. Stoughton, for one, has decided that the buses are going to be used for the illegal students and not for the regular students. And all of a sudden, hell broke loose, and the community got together and brought action that our students, our American students, are going to be taken care of, and the rest of it is going to have to be dependent on the state or the federal government to provide the transportation. What costs are we experiencing to our open borders, for one? What is the state of Massachusetts is a sanctuary state. Sanctuary city of Boston, I don't know whether Danvers declared to be a sanctuary town or not, but they have accepted illegals and students, because even when the school committee voted not to accept outside students back in November or December, I said, okay, there's a reason for that. And now the reason comes through because they supposedly have over 100 students going into our school system, and they are being supported by state funding. However, how long will that last? Every item that we introduce into our school system is good for a year, maybe 2 years, grants. And then all of a sudden, we're stuck with the bill.
That's correct.
So why are we complaining about Essex Tech taking away our students? Now I know why. Because they're getting inundated with outside students that are not citizens of this country.
Well, see, that goes back to legislations and our legislators. I
Right.
mean, Massachusetts, unfortunately, is a a sanctuary state.
Yep.
So I don't know if that just forces every city and town in Massachusetts to be automatically considered a sanctuary city or town. But I'm sure that Danvers has probably already set up that, oh yeah, we're a sanctuary town. So it doesn't matter. The problem is, which, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but we've been complaining about this for 4 or 5 years now, the excessive amount of illegals coming in here. And, Texas, Florida, Arizona, California, they have millions.
Right.
We're talking about thousands. They couldn't even take 50 down in what was that? Nantucket.
Nantucket.
Right? And so it's like you're kidding me. You're crying over this. This is what you wanted. See, this is laws have consequences. Votes have consequences. Political stances have consequences. You're sanctuary city. You believe in all this stuff. Well, who's going to pay for it? Our compassion is what there was a great saying. Our compassion is endless, and we love everyone, but our wallet only has so much money. There's only so much to go around, and so you got to, that's why countries have borders, and they violate the whole concept of sanctuary, or not sanctuary. What do you call it? When someone flees from one country to the other, the refugees. You're supposed to go to the first safe country. These people have gone through 10 countries before they get here. They should be in other countries, not just coming here. But because the way President Biden and Harris have done it, every state in this country is a border state.
Correct.
And
some are more
financial problems to go with it.
The problem I see is, yes, it's nice to be able to accept, illegal immigrants. And speaking for myself, I'm an immigrant. I came the legal way.
Mhm.
I came and the family stayed in line waiting to get accepted, and they were in line since before the Second World War.
Mm.
So then we went through. But my problem is how are we as residents and citizens and our children in our school system are being affected by this? Now, we already had complaints and issues at Great Oak back when the homeless were housed in Danvers. And they decided to put all of the homeless children into either Great Oak or the other one just down the street,
Highlands.
Highland School. And what happened? The rating and the grades and the attention was lacking. The grades went way down. Parents got all upset.
Mhm.
And the thing is that the school administration couldn't say anything. They wouldn't say anything. They just fell in line with the governor and assistant governor. I mean, we have a double whammy here on the North Shore. We have Healy and Driscoll, and Driscoll is local. And the thing is, they're never separated. They're always tied at the hip. I don't know what's going on with those two women,
Yeah.
but that's an issue that.
Okay, well, let's talk about education, like you just said. Desi, let's talk. Take Desi, please. Take him. I've testified in front of him before, by the way.
Right.
Wasn't a pretty picture, but at any rate, if you go to the Desi website, they rank all the schools. We used to be in the top 10%, like 15, 20 years ago. And Andrea Daly went to the school committee 5 or 6 years ago and gave an excellent presentation about how we've fallen and our academics have really cascaded downward, and the school administration ignored everything she said. And it was Lisa Dane is the one who was dragging that anchor for us, just right down to the bottom of the ocean. So if you go there, we're at 55%. That means that more than half of the school districts in this state are better than us. And to add insult to injury, United States used to be number one in the industrialized world. The United States school and educational systems were the best of the best. Now we're number 35. Okay,
Right.
so we can't even compete at the local stage. We can't compete on the international stage. We're going to have to wake up and find out where we've gone wrong. And I can tell you, people tell you, Jim, you can't say the word woke. But all these policies have consequences. These woke, socialist, liberal policies have consequences. And so I've talked about this before. California used to lead this country in innovation, and whatever happened in California would ripple across the countries from the 60s, from garage bands and rock and roll and surfing and skateboards and hula hoops and everything else. Now, look at California now. It's a third world country there. There are people living in the street. And so that's what those policies do. So they're going to come. They're here now. It's going to happen. We've already got pictures on the website. There's people sleeping in the down at the Liberty Tree Mall in the hall, and then they found a dead body at beside Walmart, and we haven't heard the story yet. We don't know, was it a homeless person, was it an immigrant, or was it someone who wandered away from Brooksby? We never know because we never hear any news. It's kind of like the people that work for the electric company. They didn't even know that there was a survey going out. Because where's the information coming from?
Jim, this is the standard reply in Danvers from our administration, whether they're directors, town manager, or selectmen. Sweep it under the rug so nobody hears this, because we don't want to have a reputation that is not ideal that they believe in. So let's move on, because I think we've spent enough time on that. I appreciate your comments. And as you have always said, and I've always commented, is that you deal with the broader issues state and federal, and I deal with the local issues, Danvers, Danvers, and Danvers. So the thing is that people need to understand where we're coming from. So what I thought we'll do today is I wanted to give our Democrats an opportunity similar to what we gave to the Republicans that ran for office that have primaries or they don't have primaries. We have Mr. Anketel on. He's running for the Senate. And Jonathan Ring for the Treasury.
No, he's Registry of Deeds.
Registry of Deeds. And we'll get into the sample ballots because Jim is very industrious in trying to find out what's going on the elections. But today, what I wanted to do is just briefly, I invited both Joan Lovely and Sally Kearns to the show to make their pitch to the public. Mm-hmm. I would have allowed the whole hour to go because they deserve it, because we did that for the Republican side. I want to do it for the Democratic side. But they were not available, and that's okay. What I want to do is Joan Lovely is running for the senator seat for the, she's State Senate. Senator Joan Lovely in her 6th term as state senator for the 2nd district in the state of Massachusetts. And it's comprised of Beverly, Danvers, Peabody, and Salem. Now, Joan has been very supportive in our efforts to curtail the development and slow down the development at the Beverly Airport. She has reached out, come to the meetings, sat through the boring discussions, and we have not been able to accomplish much, but at least she was there. So that's why I appreciate that. What I have found through research in this information is very interesting facts about Joan Lovely. Joan Lovely was a counselor at one time.
City councilor in Salem.
City councilor in Salem. And she really, the primary focus on her senator seat is Salem, because Salem is the largest community. Danvers is just a small community. Senator Lovely serves in leadership, assistant majority leader, and is chair of the Senate and Joint Committee on Rules. That's a pretty important committee. That's where Ted Speliotis on the House side was functioning on that. Mm-hmm. She's got a whole list of different committees that she sits on and deliberates on different bills. The one thing that I noticed is that we have a dual effort from Sally Kearns and Joan Lovely in regards to filing bills to support the town of Danvers and Beverly and Salem. Personal information about Joan Lovely is professional. She's an attorney. Spouse is Stephen. Children, she has 3. Grandchildren, she has 1. So we're in the same boat here. The one thing that I noticed on this resume is that pets. She has a yellow lab, black lab, yellow lab, black cat, Mo, and chickens and 2 call ducks. Sure, she has a
A veritable farm?
I don't know
Kennel?
where she keeps them in Salem. uh, Her main interests are boating, gardening, and travel. Career highlights: attorney, lovely law group that she's established. And she has been in office since 2013 to present as senator. Before that, president of Salem City Council, 2001 and 2012. Co-chair Castle Hill Playground Committee. That's what drives people to get into elected office is the small stuff. And this is what I read in there is this is one of the things that trigger her to go into the city council and then move on to her current position. So, education, she's a Beverly High School graduate, Essex Agricultural and Technical School. So she's an alumnus of the infamous school that we're trying to shut down in Danvers. So I just thought this was very interesting, but I would have liked to have, Joan herself give us this dissertation because it's important. One of the things that I brought up from my archives that Joan was working on is on January 8th, 2024, there was a meeting at the airport with the airport manager. Environmental issues are not limited to leaded fuel. Leaded fuel has consistently been used at BVY. Leaded fuel causes disease and cancer for the most vulnerable of our communities. No imminent solution proposed by FAA or BVY. Various communities have initiated legal action against airports. Why not Danvers, Wenham, or Beverly? Environmental impact study and report. This was presented to Joan Lovely back in January of 24. And now all of a sudden, the environmental issues are coming out of everybody's, dissertations that are presented. BVY, I'm not going to get into the details, but expansion of runways increase the noise and increase pollution. So quality of life and longevity are impacted by the noise and contamination. Safety of our schools and homes are at stake. So this is something that I found in my archives that I dealt with Joan Lovely. So I am still confident that Joan will come and present these things because it's important to know the person behind the elected office. And the thing is, that's personal information. That's what everything is based on. What are we, who are we, and what can we do for you?
Well, yeah, the world runs on personal relationships. And all our leaders, for good, bad, or indifferent, everyone starts out with good intentions and they want to do good things. And like you pointed out very well that they go to help people and do things. They want to give back to the community. And you're right, all these local issues that we face, they're right there and they're helping out and they're doing the work. It doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat, Senator Lovely, Representative Kearns,
right?
Anyone, they're all there. But again, my problem is the big pictures and the big issues that come down from the UN. I'm telling you right now, from the UN to Washington, D.C., to Beacon Hill, and right into Danvers. And one of those is the MBTA zoning. That's the 15-minute cities that's in the UN plan for the world. It was only a 5-line paragraph in the laws that Senator Lovely that Beacon Hill passed. Okay, with But yet, by the time it got done, it's kind of like what Nancy Pelosi said. Well, we won't know what's in the bill till we pass it, and then so that 5-line paragraph turned into 12 pages worth of that building on the corner of Maple Street.
I know, that monstrosity.
And all the way down.
All right,
High
Jim,
Street.
we have to give
go ahead.
Sally Kearns
Her time.
opportunity.
That's right. Go ahead.
But, Ben, if you could just pop up a picture of Joan Lovely, because I don't know, no, before that.
The picture of Joan Lovely.
Picture of Joan Lovely. That's the circular one. You don't have one?
You don't have the picture. No picture.
Do you have one of Sally Kearns?
Okay.
Well, I'll show a picture of Sally Kearns because I'm able to do it. There's Sally. And let me just find out from my archives. Here's Joan Lovely. And Joan Lovely, I don't know, she lives up to her name, I think, but...
They all have websites you can check.
Yes. So what we're going to introduce now is Sally Kearns, who's running for state representative, and she is running unopposed, except for we have rumors that somebody is going to be writing in during the November 5th election.
Well, no. Actually, if there was going to be a write-in, it should be in
the primary.
In the primary, but I haven't heard. So if there's someone doing it, great. Thanks a lot. Let us know so we can vote for you. I mean, but you'd have to pull a Republican ballot. I guess that's what it is.
Well,
no, get into Sally.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time. So
Sally has been active in the past, back in 91 to 97. That was during my time on the Board of Selectmen, and that was the first introduction to Sally Kearns, and she she became representative she resigned in 97. And then she came back after she had her children and their children grew up. So Sally has been around forever. She is attached to the town of Danvers, and she has one thing that I liked what I read in her campaign website, and I think that will suffice in declaring who she is, but she comes from a family that's been around for a long time, and the best advice ever shared with me was, and this was from her father, Tom Kearns, advised me in my first campaign, remember that it's we and not I. And that is so true. So that's one quote that I picked up from her resume here. And I have some questions that I have prepared, but the questions are more related to the bills that she filed on our behalf. And one of them is relative to regional assessment values for Beverly Airport land in the town of Danvers, and it went to the Revenue Committee. And, I understand that the legislature acts very slowly, but Sally at least filed that. And it didn't go very far, but it's going to be maybe revisited because they just completed their 2-year term. So this is going to have to be refiled from the beginning. The second one here I have is Representative Kearns of Danvers, a petition accompanied by a bill, House number 2858, of Sally Kearns for legislation to allow cities and towns to increase the local tax rate on meals. This is, and this one I don't like because this is what the legislature did to us in the town of Danvers. They passed in the middle of the night a trash fee allowed method to collect from our residents. It's a disguised 2.5 override. But that one I hope we can follow, and this is Bill H. House 2858. My next one is 3358, and I picked these because they're relevant to what we're doing in our town. And we all know Sally. She is Sally Kearns, and she's been around forever. Bill 3358 by Representative Kearns of Danvers and Senate Lovely, a joint petition accompanied by a bill, House number 3358 of Sally P. Kearns, Joan B. Lovely, and Gerald A. Paracella, relative to airplane noise data collection. That one was introduced a couple of years ago, and it's still on the list of bills. I don't know where that's going to go, but at least that's an attempt by our legislators to represent us and ask for forgiveness. The other one that I found on here, which was very interesting, this is Sally Kearns and Joan Lovely, joint petition subject to Joint Rule 9, for legislation to further regulate the Massachusetts Municipal Wholesale Electric Company Board of Directors, Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy Committee that I went to. I will have to look into that because I will ask Sally to clarify that because I've never heard of that one. Have you?
No.
This is on regulating the municipal light board. Leave the board alone. It's been functioning well. Leave Peabody alone. They've been functioning well. Let's save some money instead of dipping your fingers into a area that does not belong to the legislature. So, let's just talk about the ballots because the primary election.
Yep.
The primary election is coming to September 3rd.
Yep.
And it is both. Why don't you talk about it?
Let's throw up the Democrat primary ballot. Yeah, because the Democrat is Liz Warren is running for U.S. Senator unopposed, and then representative in Congress you got Seth Moulton running unopposed, and then we have Councilor Eunice DeLise Senglia running unopposed, and in General Court Joan Lovely running unopposed. In other words, she has no primary. They have no primary competition. They may have competition like in the general election, but in the primaries it's just Democrats against Democrats. And Sally Kearns, again, she's running for a representative General Court. She has no competition. Now the clerk of courts, we have two Democrats running for the same seat. You have Thomas H. Driscoll Jr. and you have James F.X. Doherty. So if you're a Democrat and you're going to pull a Democrat ticket, you should know who these people are and figure out which one would represent you better. And the same thing with the Registry of Deeds. It looks like there's two Democrats running for that. We have Eileen Duff and Joseph Michael Gentleman. And so those two people are running for, Registry of Deeds. So they, whoever wins in these primary races will go against a Republican in the final November election if there's a Republican candidate, because most likely there won't be, because we can't find anybody to run. But okay, let's throw up the Republican one, and the Republican one's the same thing. There's only one race in town for the Republicans, and that's going to be the senator in Congress. I filled this out accidentally on purpose, but at any rate, there's
indication of things to come.
There's 3 people running for the senator in Congress, and that's Robert Antonellis, Ian Kane, and John Deaton. So if you're going to pull a Republican ballot, you need to know which one supports your views better. And there was a Aaron Packard is running a run-in candidate, but you can't run a run-in against 3 other people. It's just not going to happen. Or write-in. So that's the only race. There's no one running for representative Congress. So Seth Moulton gets a free ride. Ann Manning will be running for the councilor. She's unopposed, so she will go head-to-head, whoever wins the Democratic one. And Senator in General Court, we have Damian Anketel. So he's the only Republican running. And so in November, he will be going up against Joan Lovely. And then we have Jonathan Ring. He's running for Register of Deeds, so he'll be the Republican candidate because he's got no opposition. So he will be running whoever wins on the Democrat side for Register of Deeds, those 2 I had mentioned before. So that's it. We do have a we want to throw the Libertarian up. We have no Libertarian candidates. It's empty. But people that are Libertarian go in and they pull their Libertarian ballot and they will write someone in because that's what they do. And I will say that, like Jill Stein, well, she's not a Libertarian. She's on the Green Party, but she, well, again, I'm on the federal side. But so that's what's happening. We really need to know who's running in these candidates. I mean, because there's Republicans and Democrats. We got to change the system. I mean, we've been doing it the same way for over 200 years. I mean, the way these parties work and these conventions, if you watch the conventions, it's just like a big party. I mean, there's got to be a better way to get more people involved and just not the political hacks, I call them, because, yeah, I'm one too. But we need to get the regular people involved. That's all I'm saying. So we only got 2 minutes left, Mark. I'm going to have to yield the rest of my time to you because that's all I can say.
I don't have anything to say. Well, the only thing I want is, Ben, if you can throw up the Beverly Airport one, coming soon, Beverly to Nantucket. That's the one I missed last time. And what I like to show you is this is what the advertising on the website of the Beverly Airport's website is promoting. This is what the jet flights that are flying over your home and my home are causing the ruckus that's going on, and they are going either to, these are primarily business flights, but there could be, and nobody is telling us, that these could be Beverly to Nantucket, to New York City, to Martha's Vineyard, to Vermont, because that's what the plans were. And the thing is that nobody wants to admit to it except that the operator of the airport, Flight Level Aviation, if you go to their site, has an array of different opportunities to travel through Beverly to international sites even. Yeah. So what we want to do is we just want to inform you.
Well, I just want to say that at the meetings, Steve Bloomer read the marketing brochure that's on the website saying, if you're landing at Logan, don't go through all that. Come to Beverly, land here.
That's right.
That's what we're looking at. That's why they're building a hangar. They want to get all those flights from Logan into Beverly. Okay.
So let's get out, and probably we'll be asking you to come and demonstrate at the gate of Beverly Airport, because that's the only way they'll get the message. So goodbye, good night, good afternoon, good morning to all of our viewers. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. Always good to see you, man.
Good job.